So once again, I'm broadcasting from my little apartment. Delighted to have you here. Just rearrange things a little bit there in the background. Let's see. I think that's going to be a little bit better. There we go. Things we have to do to make you happy. So we're going to get into some of the main stories from the day, and then we'll have plenty of time to address your comments. Just want to check, of course, that you can hear me okay, that the sound is adequate. We always know that there's occasional problems with the sound, problems with the pillows as well. So, yeah, what do you mean, did it start on Thai time? It started, well, 3 minutes past 10. That's not too bad. So, hearing me loud and clear, that's great. Okay, so let's get into the main topics of the program. Then we'll do our best to answer as many of your questions as we can. Of course, we do want to thank our members and our subscribers. We'll always prioritise the members' questions first. Sure you understand. Let's get into it though. So one of the topics I want to address today is a lot of outrage in Thai media at the moment over Lazada. Now, if you don't know what Lazada is an online shopping platform. It's basically you go in there and you can buy pretty much everything. I just bought a swimming pool about 2 days ago from there, and it'll arrive about 2 days later. I've bought shavers, I've bought toothpaste and toothbrushes, fake plants, like that one. So you can buy just about anything you want from Lazada, but they've got themselves in a bit of a kerfuffle, and we'll have a talk about why that is in just a moment. We might go through some of the other main stories around today, and just some of the headlines on the Thaiger. Phuket and Andaman Coast warns of storms and rough seas for the next few days. Now, we are entering what we call the start of the wet season here in Thailand. The wet season starts different times in different parts of the country. Traditionally, it's later. For example, in the Gulf of Thailand, for the West Coast islands, places like Samui and Koh Phangan, and places on the Gulf Coast. So, but in places like Phuket and the Andaman Sea, it does appear to start around this time of the year. So we will get the occasional daily rain, the downpour, but it's usually over very quickly. What I love about the rain in Thailand is it's warm. I mean, you can walk around and get soaked, and it's quite refreshing. So that's quite nice. So 5 elephants die after falling into a sinkhole in Kanchanaburi in the west of Thailand. Siam Paragon wins the Best Luxury Shopping Mall Award for 2022, if you're interested in matters like that. Luxury shopping mall. Places like Icon Siam, that's what I'd call a luxury shopping mall. But anyway, I'm sure that award is well deserved. What else have we got? The Department of Health warns public that bullfrog shots might be dangerous. These are shots where you put bullfrogs into a shot glass along with something. I don't really want to read that story, but if you see a shot glass with a bullfrog, you're being warned not to drink that, as if you'd need any warning at all. Border checkpoints between Thailand and Cambodia have reopened. Some 31 provinces are now targeted with having their checkpoints to the neighbouring countries, they being Myanmar, heavens knows why I want to go there at the moment, Laos, Cambodia and Malaysia. So plenty of checkpoints now reopening since May the 1st as the Thailand Pass kicks in. You do need a Thailand Pass, no matter if you're Thai or foreigner, if you are coming through a border checkpoint at the moment. Former Democrat member taking shots at the Per-Thai party. So yeah, the political shenanigans have really kicked on again. They've started. Definitely an election in the wind. There's a lot of political to and fro going on at the moment in Thailand, and just reading between the lines, it seems that there will be an election sometime either later this year or certainly early next year. And police have found another 1 million meth pills in a Chiang Mai pickup truck. The border police up there around Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai are pretty busy trying to check trucks. A lot of methamphetamine. I think there was a seizure last week of 6.7 million pills. Clearly they must measure them by weight. I mean, there's nobody in the office in Chiang Mai going, 1, 2, 3. It's a big pile over there. Oh, I've lost my weight. 1, 2. Yeah, it'd be pretty difficult. So they must do it by weight, but they always seem to be catching millions and millions and millions of methamphetamine pills that they pour out of the Golden Triangle into Thailand for disbursement to places beyond. And the body of a popular monk found floating in a river in southern Thailand. So that's that story. Plenty of other headlines, but we are going to focus on the main story, which is about Lazada. Just get to some of the early comments. Sounds good. That's great to hear. Hello, Tim, says Bob B. Hi, Tim, good to see you. Diraj, nice to hear from you as well. Dime333, when you say things we need to do keep you happy, are you talking about me? I have no idea what that's about. Good morning all from Scott Shallcross. Poco Loco, hello, welcome to you, a member. It's like a Amazon. Don't know what you mean. Are we talking about Lazada? Not sure. The toothpaste is fake too from China. No, the toothpaste I have is not from China. I think it's made here in Thailand. And good evening from Chicago. Hello to Scott D. Nice to have you with us, a long-time subscriber to the channel. Question, can we have a tour of your house? Well, this isn't really a house. This is just an apartment. I'm about 200 metres from the office of the Thaiger in Bangkok. This is about 47 metres. It's 1 bedroom. It costs me 20,000 baht a month. Anything in this area in Thailand, in Asok, would be considered relatively expensive. This is a fairly good deal. You might call it a bit of a COVID deal. Typically something like this space, this is about 20 years old, but it's been recently refurbished and I've added my own touches. But this is fairly typical. So if you want to live in the middle of Bangkok in Sukhumvit, you're going to be paying for an apartment, say between 10 and 20,000 baht a month. There's plenty of variation there, of course. So just continuing to go through all the comments. I'll do my best to address these all the way through this morning. Hello from New Zealand. Hello to Graham Eldridge. Nice to have you with us all the way from the land of the long white cloud. Dating Guru says, I don't like Lazada as my girlfriend spends too much of my money there. It is a bit of a trap. If you go onto the Lazada app or Lazada or Shopee, and then there's plenty of others, but Lazada is very popular in Thailand. Perhaps not quite as popular today as it was yesterday, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But Scott says it's very tidy. I pushed all the rubbish out of the shot. I won't show you the rest of the house because it's pretty shoddy. The bed's not made, I can guarantee that. Never is. Okay, so let's have a talk about, can you sit in on a live show in a sock? Well, you'd have to come to my apartment, Hamish, and you might be a tremendous guy, but I'm not having strangers coming into my apartment. This is my sanctuary, and I do enjoy coming inside, locking the door, and leaving the tiger outside, except when I'm here with you on the weekend. But we are actually, Hamish, thinking of ways we can do something more live, more interactive. From time to time, we do the outside broadcast. I mean, we're going to be at Trishadar Villas next week in Phuket, and I imagine you'd be welcome to drop in to see us do the show there. It'll be on between 10 and roughly 11 a.m. each morning. That'll be Jay and myself. Natty's staying here in Bangkok looking after the shop while we're away. No, sorry, the tiger. Life's Pleasure says, hello from sunny Singapore. Welcome to you, and hope it's a fabulous day in Singapore. The great thing about living here in Thailand, and something that I really enjoy, is within a 2 or 3 hour flight, I can be in like 6 or 7 different countries and enjoy some fabulous food, different cultures, and well, as the COVID cloud is slowly lifting, very easy access to a lot of those countries. And you could literally fly. Well, I used to fly to Hong Kong and do a day's shopping, then fly back all in one day. You can do the same in Singapore. A little bit more complicated at the moment, but things are certainly easing up and a lot easier than they used to be. And I'm happy to answer your questions and your comments about the Thailand Pass as well, because I know it's still a hot topic. But certainly the region is opening up again. I'm looking to travel to both India and Turkey over the next 2 months. I'll tell you about those trips if you want to know later on the program. So certainly I'm looking at travelling, and a lot of other people are not just looking to come into Thailand at the moment, but they're also looking to leave Thailand to do some travel, like myself. So, Tim, get to your house. I leave the airport and then drive past the rubber tree plant, right? But which way do I turn after? Tim, what's your plans after the stream? Asks Thin Beard Pirate. I will be going today to buy a pair of shoes, walking shoes. I've had the current pair of walking shoes for the last year, and I think I need a new pair. So either my feet have grown or they've become uncomfortable or something's happened, but they're not quite as comfortable as they used to be. So I think I'll probably go to MBK. Where else do you go to get a good deal and a huge selection? So I'll be heading in that direction. Nice to hear you with good sound, Leon. We're happy when the sound is great. When it's not good, we apologise. We do our best. I love the irreverent Australian humour seeping through. Oh, heaven forbid. D Nomad says hello from Mumbai. Coming your way soon, D Nomad. You count slow. Just take one, and it will hurry things up. Yes, yes. Counting the methamphetamine pills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that'd hurry things up. Try Lazada for your shoes. This is an interesting one, Vance. Why am I keeping on doing this? I'm sorry, I'm Italian. So the problem with shoes and clothes, shoes less so because I'm a pretty consistent 42. But when it comes to clothes, with shirts, I can be like a 2XL or a medium, or something in between. So I've bought some shirts online, and I don't think I've ever bought one that's actually fit me. So I end up giving them to number one or to one of my staff or something. So thinking it's time to move to Thailand for a bit, says Don Logan. Don, of course, you'd be more than welcome. And hopefully the Thaiger is a great resource for information about pretty much everything Thailand. We do our best to keep all the information up to date. But sometimes you've got to get onto the website and do a bit of a search for particular topics. Okay, so let's have a talk about Lazada, and I will get to your comments a little bit later. So what this current kerfuffle is all about is that Lazada, this shopping mall, this place where you go and buy toothpaste and swimming pools, is they did a campaign, and they featured in the campaign, oh my goodness, thank you very much to Lewis Cabot. You've just donated money to us. That is most appreciated, unexpected, but most appreciated. Thank you very much to Lewis. If you've got any questions, Lewis, we'll do our very best to answer them and give you the best value we can for your very kind donation. It is distracting, by the way. The questions just keep on coming up. I will get to them. But yes, Lazada, they did this campaign, and they featured 3 people in the campaign, which were dressed up as sort of high-so, and one of them was not disabled, but pretending they were disabled, in a wheelchair. Now, that might be considered tasteless, okay? So Lazada could be well incriminated for a tasteless advertisement about disabled people. But I'll leave that to you. On the other hand, there have been people who have interest in the Thai monarchy. They might be considered royalists. They've taken great offence. In fact, they've been outraged because there is a member of the Thai royal family, in fact, a sister of His Majesty King Vajiralongkorn, who is in a wheelchair, and they say that they were the Lazada contractors, the influencer who was doing this advertisement for Lazada, were mocking the royal family. Now, to me, a depiction of a person in a wheelchair is one thing, and some people tend to take a lot of umbrage if people, for example, Natty, did some videos a few weeks ago about problems that disabled people have. And so she put herself in the situation of being in a wheelchair and trying to negotiate around Bangkok. And some people found that very offensive, saying that, well, she's not disabled, so she shouldn't pretend she's disabled. So, okay, some people are outraged about things like that. I'm not personally, but I understand and appreciate that some people are. So the royalists collected themselves and they went to the Lazada office in Sukhumvit at the Imkortia Tower, just down the road here, and they demanded some answers about Lazada, why they were mocking members of the royal family, and they're really ramping this up. So 100,000 people have signed up to a hashtag ban Lazada, and Lazada are the bad boys at the moment, getting a lot of heat. If you want to read about this story, and if you want to see photos of what the royalists are complaining about, then you can go to thetiger.com. It's the most recent story, so you'll see it there on the front page, and you can read more about it or see some of the photos. It was actually a TikTok clip, and well, a lot of people are saying, come on, you know, it's just you're taking this too far. You're putting 2 and 2 together and you're making 5. How can you assume that that's a member of the royal family? I mean, is any photo of a disabled person in a wheelchair depicting or mocking a person from the royal family? So this is the latest outrage here in Thailand. And of course, Thai netizens are just making their comments loud and clear. People on this side of the story and this side of the story taking great umbrage. So that is the big outrage in Thailand at the moment. So no matter what your problems might be, you might be in different parts of the world that are being invaded by Russia. You might be suffering enormous inflation. You might have high COVID numbers and be stuck in an apartment in Shanghai. But here in Thailand, it's all over a TikTok clip where people are outraged because one person was in a wheelchair and could or might have been a depiction of a person from the royal family. Fake brick wall, wallpaper. Pepper, you're absolutely right. This is a fake brick wall. It was a brick wall, but they've put fake... I didn't do that. How old is Jet? Gee, I don't know. I think Jet's in his late 20s. I might message him. So let's just see what happens here. Jet, where's Jet? I'll send him a message and ask him how old he is. Jet. Put his name in here. There he is. It doesn't look like he's awake. Jet. Question from YouTube. How old? He'll end up calling me, you know. How old are you? He'll lie anyway. So thank you. We'll ask Jet. Jet, who hosts our Thailand News Today program. And thanks to Natty for filling in while Jet was away for 2 weeks. He goes away once a year to a sort of a relaxation and meditation retreat. And he, I must interview him about it. I interviewed him a couple of years ago when he did it. It was one of those retreats where for 10 days you cannot talk. And they take away your phone and you meditate and you're not allowed to talk to anybody. I'd last 5 minutes. Okay, what else have we got? Are all the massage shops fully open again, asks Andrew Bullen. The answer is no. There are some massage shops open, some of them providing a good and proper Thai massage, others providing additional services. If you go to the hotspots like Patong in Phuket or Pattaya or around Nana, you will find, and even Soy Cowboy, where I walked past this morning at 7:30 a.m. on my way to breakfast, not on my way home, by the way. Yeah, there are sort of massage shops open, but not all of them, no. Tim, you're a complete idiot. Do everyone a favour and go back to the UK. This from SQ. So thank you very much, SQ. I can't really go back to the UK because I don't come from the UK. So I'm not sure who's the complete idiot, but thank you very much for your comment. The question is, how old is Carmen? I think you mean Carmel. Carmel would be in her early to mid-20s. We do say that she's in her 80s. We just give her a hard time. But no, Carmel is... I think she might be in her early 20s. I'm not going to send everybody a question this morning and ask how old they are. I'll do a guesstimate from now on, but I have messaged Jet. We'll see if he gets back to me. During this month, is it better to travel to Phuket or Chiang Mai? Asks Miles La. So, interesting question. Phuket at the moment is starting to go into the wet season. It does sort of arrive a little bit later in central and northern Thailand, but certainly Bangkok's had a little bit of rain. It rained a little bit yesterday. Up in Chiang Mai, the same will be happening. It's starting to cool down. They have a very hot time in March, April and May, but it will be starting to cool down and the rain start to arrive up in Chiang Mai. You would probably get a little bit of rain in both locations this time of the year, but both are great places to visit depending on what you want to see. You're going to get a lot more beaches in Phuket and you're going to get a lot more rainforests and trekking up in Chiang Mai. But look, both worth going to. I would say probably Miles. I'd flip a coin and let fate decide for you. GOH says San Francisco has a lot of streetcars in public streetcars and makes it very hard, and Market Street is full of brickwork and makes it hard to roll an average wheel across it. Oh, we're talking about disabled access and stuff. Yeah, Bangkok is not known for its great disabled access. Most of the BTS stations have got lifts. Some of them don't work all the time, but I think there is an intention to make disabled access a priority and improve access for physically disabled people and visually disabled people as well around Bangkok. And you're starting to see better paving and better access and ramps and things like that. SQ, he is from Melbourne, Australia. Oh, talking about me. Yes, I'm from Melbourne, Australia, SQ. So silly you. This message is held for review. Not anymore. Chiang Mai, says Jupiter, so he's voted. He says, go to Chiang Mai, don't go to Phuket. How can Thailand have an economic recovery if Chinese and Russians are forbidden to travel? This is a question from Lewis Beck. Let me answer that by saying that there's a lot more dimensions to the Thai economy than just tourism. Whilst it contributes some 15, maybe up to 20% directly and indirectly from tourism, international tourism, there's plenty of other dimensions to the Thai economy, exports being the main one, and the exports have, I think they lifted some 15% year on year in the last quarter. So the exports have really picked up. Because of supply chain problems from places like China at the moment, I think some of the Southeast Asian manufacturing countries, like Thailand, will certainly be at an advantage during this time of recovery. So without Chinese and Russian tourists, the tourist numbers, if we want to measure them against 2019, are going to be down some 30 to 40%. But then again, they're starting to court other markets like the Indians and people from the Middle East to come to Thailand. So yeah, there will be tourists coming to Thailand from different parts of the world, and different tourist markets go up and they go down, and there are some that are quite consistent. For example, Australians seem to have a very consistent number of people coming over the past 30 years. And the Europeans come usually during their winter. And I think that will return, but probably not in the numbers that we had pre-2019. So the Thailand's tourism recovery is going to be bumpy at best. Just going back, Ryan Bishop says, morning weather would be a good GMT segment. Yeah, look, we've done the weather before. The problem is that the weather can be very localised because of tropical climate. So it could be raining in one part of Sukhumvit, but not in another part. It can be raining on the east coast of Phuket, but bright sunshine on the west coast. So it's very difficult to do accurate weather, apart from basically saying it's hot. John Peake, Natty said last night, you haven't lost your Australian humour, mate. Aussie all the way, mate. Yeah, you can take the Australian out of Australia, but you can't take, I think you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, John Peake, question. Where is Thailand? Where in Thailand would you go if not where you are? Well, I do spend time in Bangkok for the business, and I do live in Phuket, and I go back to my home there usually about once a week. At the moment, I'm doing week on, week off. I'm going to see how that goes for a while. There are challenges operating out of the office, but we're trying to improve that situation, put up some TV screens and cameras and things. So yeah, we're going to try that for a while. Places I haven't been in Thailand that I would like to go, I'd like to spend a lot more time in Isan. My intention is to just basically hire a motorbike up there and just go on a bit of a tour, staying in places for a couple of days. Take my camera with me, might even do parts of Good Morning Thailand. Also, right down the deep south, there are some very beautiful parts of southern Thailand. Southern Thailand probably best known for the insurgency that's been going on there for the past 22 years, although it's been sort of bubbling along for at least a century. Pretty much a border war which borders on religious differences. So that's a very beautiful part. And if you keep on the main tracks, it's still very safe down there. But you would be urged to do some homework before you started travelling down there by yourself. But certainly down south in Thailand is part of the country where I'd like to go. Also some other islands I'd like to visit as well. And Koh Lipe is one. And what's the other one? Koh Lanta, two islands that I'll be going to sometime over the next 6 months. Rent a van with a driver in Isan, $100 a day, says Ryan. I like getting on a motorbike and just doing it myself. That's the way I like to tour parts of Thailand. And that will be my intention, with a helmet on, of course, and taking my time. So what else have we got here? That was a question from John. Silver Miner, do you think the Kra Canal will ever be built? The Kra Canal, just a bit of a background for those people that don't know Silver, the Kra Canal was going to be slicing Thailand in half through the skinniest part of the Malay Peninsula, which in Thailand is called the Isthmus of Kra. Basically the peninsula, you've got Thailand up here, then it goes into the peninsula and then down into Malaysia. And the skinny part of that is a link between pretty much the access through the Indian Ocean and then access on the other side of the Gulf of Thailand all the way through up to Northern Asia and China. At the moment, boats going from roughly the west to the east, they have to go through the Malacca Strait down to Singapore, and Singapore has banked on this over the past 50 years, and then they make their way up north again into Northern Asia. So that's okay, but if they cut a Panama Canal type canal structure right through the middle of Thailand, it would cut a good 2 days off the traffic for the ships. But creating the canal is fraught with a whole lot of political dangers, separating the north from the south with a physical canal would be a divide. They're also talking about the possibility of not having a canal, but having a shipping port on one side and then trains going, an efficient train service going straight across to the other side, and then another shipping port there. But you're taking stuff off the boats, then putting stuff on the boats. The canal would obviously be much cleaner. They keep on bringing it up every now and then. I haven't heard much about the Kra Canal over the past 6 or 7 months, but it's brought up from time to time by various transport ministers. But I don't think anything's going to be happening anytime soon. Hopefully that might be a bit of a fill-in of my attitude towards that, Silver. What else have we got? Good morning, Tim from Sick Puppy. Hello, Sick Puppy. I hope you feel better soon. David, I was about to call you, Sick Puppy. Oh, you're talking to each other. Thank you for your sense of humour, Tim. So I'll be waiting at the 7-Eleven for you to pick me up. Thank you. There's so many 7-Elevens, I wouldn't know which one to pick you up at. So probably don't bank on that. Tim, good morning from the Space Coast of Florida, Melbourne. I've been to Melbourne in Florida. I did a bit of a tour of the space locations down there, Cape Canaveral and Cape Kennedy. And certainly I've been to Melbourne in Florida, so it's a good part of the world. Sweaty Cup, says GOH. Rent a van, we've done that one. I spent a year and a half in Songkhla City. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Very quiet, but opportunities for making new friends. That's from Mr. Ben's World. Yeah, a good part of the world. just keep in mind that there is an insurgency down there. Foreigners are very, very, very rarely targeted, but you just need to probably mind your P's and Q's while you're down there. Old Mick, the canal, going back to discussions on the Kra Canal, would also give China a second way out into the open water when they go to war against the world, at which point Thailand would become Chinese. Thanks, Old Mick, and thank you for your political dissertations there. I would have to disagree with what you're suggesting, but you're welcome to your opinion. Tim, having been there, I know that that's what makes it funny. My wife really likes that joke. Gio, I'm probably not fast enough to keep up with your wit on this one. Sailed many times through the Straits of Malacca, very busy route for shipping, says Scott. Yeah, also well known for piracy, and it's been a big problem for some smaller boats in particular, but people are it's well patrolled these days. But the Straits of Malacca over the past 200 or 300 years has got quite a few tales of piracy and woe for ships. David says, morning Tim, can you say what the inflation rate is in Thailand? Oh, we did a report about that on the Thaiger this week. It was, I think they reported some number like 3 or 4%, but most of us living here know that it's probably more like about 10% at the moment. I don't think it's as bad as some other countries that I think are seeing rate hikes in inflation faster, but it will come to Thailand. We've also had a cap on the diesel price here, which has kept the diesel price at 30 baht a litre. That's now going up to 32 baht as of the 1st of May. But the diesel cap has been able to keep the price of a lot of things, anything that's transported, pretty much everything, kept it down. But now we're starting to see prices creep up. There's also a huge shortage of pork for a while, and pork prices have almost doubled. But that's not linked to inflation. That's a different problem. So, yeah, the inflation genie is out of the bottle in Thailand. It's starting to affect prices. So, yeah, we'll certainly keep an eye on that. And if it gets outrageous, we'll certainly be passing that on. I've noted, for example, that with the fuel prices going up, the air ticket prices are starting to creep up as well. And I used to be able to get to Phuket anytime for less than 1,000 baht. Now I can't get any fares under 1,000 baht. So starting to see the effect there as well. Sunny G, which province has the most beautiful girls in Thailand? Look, I think that's a question that individuals are going to have their own answers on, that one. Some people say the girls from Isan are the prettiest girls in Thailand. And I think I'd probably have to agree, but it's a very subjective question and everybody's going to have their own opinion on that. I mean, you're probably going to have to go around and go to the beauty pageants, and that'd be sort of creepy, wouldn't it? Almost paid $40 filling up 3/4 of my tank here in Florida. Yeah, filling up my car, I used to be able to do it easily for under 1,000 baht, but now my Honda SUV now costing about 1,400 baht. The motorbike used to fill it up for 80 baht, now costing 140 baht to fill it up. Both take unleaded 91 octane. So we're starting to see that creep up. I should have got a glass of water before I started here. I don't have any water nearby. I'll just plod on, all suffering here. Price of 32.80 in Surin from Old Mick. Are we talking, what is 32? Is that, which octane level? Is that the biofuel or what? Certainly 91 was costing me over 40 baht a litre in Phuket last week. John Peake, did my time in the Navy have many a night in the straight love the open water there? John, could you put a few full stops in your sentences? I might be able to read them easier. We spent a lot of time up there when I was with the Royal Australian Navy. That's from Scott Shallcross. Lee Shepherd says all of them, probably referring to the girls in Thailand. Scott Shallcross, $1.88 a litre for unleaded petrol in Perth today. When you start talking of US dollars and Australian dollars or British pounds or anything, I'm going to get lost. So if you're going to, you probably need to do the conversion before you write it here, because I don't have enough time to get my calculator out whilst all of you are there. Lao women are the most beautiful. That comes from Scott Milner, assuming you have lots of experience in the matter. Thank you, Scott. Diesel B7. Okay, so the 32 baht per litre price was from Old Mick. Yeah, that basically sits with the news that they've lifted the cap on diesel pricing, which the government was paying a subsidy for, to 32 baht. The WWWV, the weird world we visit. Any updates on ditching the Thailand Pass? We love you, Sheila and Deb. Hi, Sheila and Deb. So the latest on the Thailand Pass, we have heard nothing over the past week. Everything happened on the 1st of May when they lifted all the testing for pre-travel or on-arrival tests, except unless you're unvaccinated or under-vaccinated, where you're required, if you don't want to have any quarantine, to do a PCR test 72 hours, well, at least 72 hours before your departure. Or in the 72 hours before your departure. Have to get the wording right. So that's the latest. We've heard nothing. At the moment, everybody's sort of waiting for the lifting of the Thailand Pass, the getting rid of the Thailand Pass, or the getting rid of the insurance. I don't think they've really decided on that at the moment. There was the Public Health Minister yesterday saying that they should lift the Thailand Pass for Thais only. I was suggesting that was probably more of a political statement. The elections are in the wind, and I think that was just pandering to the Thais. But at the moment, I don't think they'll do that. I think if they're going to lift the Thailand Pass, they'll just lift it for everybody. Because if it was there as a reason, sort of a health barrier, then lifting it for Thais only just wouldn't make any sense. And it would be seen as a political initiative. And I think it would probably piss off foreigners who already don't have a great attitude towards Anaton and some of his antics in the past. 100 baht to fill my scooter from Lee Shepherd. Yeah, well, it's cost me the other, mind you, I pretty much ran it dry. It cost me 140 baht to fill my Honda Zuma. Okay, Robert Firth, do you think the Thailand Pass will be gone by November? Planning on coming then? Robert, I would say that there's a very high possibility of the Thailand Pass being gone in the next month or so. The question I have is whether they're going to convert it to the Thailand entry something or some vaccination. So in other words, because I imagine they're going to require vaccination for a period to come into Thailand without a PCR test, they may just use it to upload your vaccination and your passport details. But you'll pre-upload those before you come, and then you'll just march straight through immigration. The problem, if they get rid of the Thailand Pass at the moment, but still require vaccination, then you're going to have longer immigration queues with the immigration people, not just checking your stamps and your visa and stuff, but also having to check your vaccination certification. And I think that's just going to slow things up. But I think the Thailand Pass in its current form will disappear in the next couple of months. Exactly what's going to happen to it, or if they have some sort of digital gateway in the future, and then perhaps even a special queue for people that use that. And what does it mean for the TM6 form, that white and blue form you fill out on the aeroplane? Will they get rid of that if they maintain a digital gateway? So plenty of questions there, but the simple answer to your question, I think the Thailand Pass, as it is, will be gone in the next few months. Tim, what's the EV and solar wind power situation in Thailand? EV, this is from Thin Beard Pirate. Electric vehicles, I'm buying one myself, just waiting for a new model to arrive, which has been delayed at the moment, but I'm buying an electric hybrid vehicle. There is a big push for electric vehicle production in Thailand, and there's already quite a few manufacturers that are bringing cars in bits into Thailand, and then they're building them here and avoiding a lot of the import duties. So that's true with the MGs from China and the Haval, the Great Wall Motors from China. They've also got a full electric car. What's that called? The Great Cat. And I'm starting to see them pop around up on the streets. They're a full EV car. And there's also a couple of Thai EV designed and manufactured cars that are going to come online over the next year. So there's quite a lot of interest in EVs. We're starting to see them popping up on the streets around Thailand. We'll certainly keep people up to date on that because it's an interesting story, and the Thai government's providing incentives for manufacturers to move here and encouraging them to build their EVs here in Thailand. As far as the wind generators, I haven't really seen any of those in Thailand. People up country, maybe you could tell me if you've seen wind farms. I don't think it's a thing here in Thailand. It's not what you call a particularly windy part of the world because of where we are. We don't get typhoons, we don't get hurricanes, we get the odd storm, but generally the winds are fairly light here in Thailand and not the sort of place where you get a lot of wind generation. Good day. Can't wait to get back to Thailand, says Rich Adrew. M. Maranta, they need electric tuk-tuks. Those two-stroke engines are big polluters. They actually do have electric tuk-tuks. They're starting to appear. There's one company, what's it called? I can't remember what they're called, but Natty did a story about them. But they are electric tuk-tuks, and you can now buy an electric scooter. And my next scooter will also be electric. Tim, what's the EV? Oh, I think I've answered that. So let's go down to some other questions. T&W, living in Udon Thani, Thailand. I've seen Tesla here in Udon Thani. I've seen a few Teslas around as well. I think you'd be paying premium for them here in Thailand as an imported car, apart from the fact that they're not that expensive, but being reasonably expensive, they'd be a premium vehicle here in Thailand, but a nice looking car. In fact, some of the new EVs are just nice looking cars generally. Come to sunny Surin, where the farmer and his wife will drive out of side roads straight into the side of your car and drive off as though nothing's happened, says old Mick. Nicholas Udat says, Thailand Pass, why Tim, why dropping it completely? It's no problem. The Thailand Pass is much better than the T6 form, which is a pain. Well, I mean, you're either going to have to upload information into a digital domain, or you're going to have to fill out the TM6. Governments around the world still want to keep numbers and statistics and have paperwork for people arriving. The old days where we just used to arrive from some countries and just get a visa on arrival, that I think will still be there, but they're still going to require a TM6 or the uploading of some information. I think doing it online is probably the way to go. If they had a simple app and there's just 3 or 4 things that need the information, and we can pre-do that before we depart, before we get to Thailand, and then show a QR code at immigration, and then just walk straight through. That to me seems like the future. Getting rid of the TM6, I think we probably need to get rid of that, replacing it with an app on your phone. Okay, so what if people don't have a smartphone? Well, most people do, and I think obviously you're going to have a TM6 form or something awaiting at the immigration for those people that don't have smartphones. But I think we do need to move on, and if the Thailand Pass the lessons can be learnt from it, and some sort of digital uploading of information would definitely be a way forward. Tim's rich, says M. Maranta. Well, not really. The fact that I've had the current car I've got for 5 years, I just need to change it. And so the car I'm looking at was actually costing me less than the car I bought 5 years ago. It's not a terribly expensive car. I'm not that rich, but I do need a car and I do need a motorbike. So some of those things need to be changed from time to time. Brad Rothberg asked the question, Tim, is Thailand good for dental? I think Thailand is fantastic for dental. I've had a bit of work done, not a lot. I'm very lucky to have all my teeth. Got to 63 years old with only 2 fillings, so I have done very, very, very well. God, knock on wood. But yeah, dental work here in Thailand is very cheap and I believe very high quality. So more than just about anything, I would say that when it comes to medical services, the dentists here are consistently excellent. So I would highly recommend a dentist in Thailand. Probably get a recommendation from a friend. I've used 2 different dentists over the past 10 years, one in Katu in Phuket, and just recently went to one for a checkup pretty close to my condo, just downstairs. So universally, if you march into a dentist in Thailand, I think you can be assured of relatively inexpensive and very high quality work. That's my experience. I rode it in a Tesla just earlier, a friend's car. My next car will definitely be a Tesla in Thailand, though I was wondering where one would charge it, and then again, do they use 220 volts there? This from the Meister. Yes, the power system here is 220 volts, 50 hertz, same as, for example, Australia or Great Britain, but different from Japan and the United States. Look, buying a really nice car in Thailand, if you're living outside of Bangkok, consider just getting a common old garden Toyota or Honda. There's plenty of good cars out there, but those in particular, there's plenty of parts around and they're very inexpensive. They make a good range of cars that should suit everybody. But if you do want to buy an expensive, nice car, just make sure you've got some really nice roads around you where you can use them and appreciate them. Parts of Thailand, the roads are a bit rougher than other parts. Then again, generally, across the board, Thailand's roads have improved a lot over the last 20 years. I think in Singapore, they've done away with physical immigration cards on arrival. This from Life's Pleasures. Be interested in people's comments about different immigration procedures around the world. But at some stage, you would like to think that we don't need to be filling out forms anymore. We scan our passport ourselves, or we fill in information onto an app, upload that before we depart, and then have a QR code scanned, and then just walk into the country we're going. That's where things are headed, and I think that's where we need to go to try and improve the efficiency of immigration around the world. Thailand, though, they do love their paperwork. Struggling a bit here. Why is that not scrolling up? What am I doing wrong? Make that a bit larger there. Here we go. Sick puppy. American immigration is the easiest, just one form and easy peasy. Are you American, sick puppy? Because if you're not American, getting into America, my experience, has been a real hassle. Getting 20 questions in immigration and taken aside, and goodness gracious. But if you're American, maybe, sick puppy, it looks like it could be very easy to get through. John Peake says, haven't seen the car I love over there, the Jeep 4-door. Jeeps. I've seen older Jeeps here, but I haven't seen the current Jeep range much in Thailand. I can't remember driving past a dealership. Not sure if they're much of a thing here in Thailand at the moment. Plenty of alternatives, though. They do love their pickups here, the Isuzu, the Nissan, Mitsubishi pickups. They're really popular with the Thais. Hi, there is Kate still working for the Thaiger from Mikel. Caitlin has gone back to the United States. She left the Thaiger last month. She will be greatly missed, but Caitlin's back in the United States, and I think she'll be working there very soon, and we do wish her well. Chris Clough says Chrysler. Chrysler were making the Jeep, I understand, but yeah, Chrysler, not really much of a known brand here in Thailand. In fact, I'm just struggling to think where I've seen any Chryslers or Chrysler Jeeps. I think you'd probably have to import them. I'm sure somebody's going to tell me if I'm wrong. MJF Media Group. If you're a certain skin colour, America is a breeze. Okay, good. The Animeister. True, passports now include that microchip, RFID, which I believe contains all the biometric information. Yes, I know the new passport I just got 2 months ago, it's got a chip in it. So assumedly I can walk past and scan something and then march into a country. That's the way we want it. We want to use the technology for our advantage, not to make things more difficult. Filling out a form in crappy old scribble and those bits of paper ending up in some huge warehouse. I just don't see the benefit of that anymore. And that information needs to be transferred. Jet Gunther, by the way. Hello, Jet. He's just replied and he said he's old enough. Earlier on in the program I was asked, how old is Jet Gunther? So he's old enough. I think he's in his late 20s, but that's just my guess. Chet did eventually answer the earlier question. Tim, I saw a Bentley in Pattaya. You will see from time to time some very nice cars in Thailand. The Hysos love driving around in cars that they're going to be noticed in. You will see the occasional BMW, Mercedes. Mercedes is quite popular here. Even a Bentley. I saw a Bentley in Sukhumvit the other day. You do see some of the low-lying sports cars, the Lamborghinis, Lotuses and things, with lumps and bumps in some of the roads. You want to pick the roads that you drive those low-set cars. I used to drive a Lotus Esprit myself in Australia, and used to come across the occasional bump that we used to land the bottom of the car on from time to time. Robert Firth talking about Jet, I think. Oh, he's at least 30, but cute. That's a nice apartment, says Jet. Oh, it's from Jet. Jet Gunther is in the room. We don't need Jet there. He'll just muddle things up. But good morning, Jet, and thank you for responding. It seemed to be plaguing everybody, the age of everybody. Okay, 212 Roger. SFO, San Francisco, is the most brutal TSA officers in the world. They're the security officers, I think, always dumping my staff on a conveyor belt, my stuff, and every photo looked at. Okay, good on you. Oh, people now talking to Jet in the room. Oh, God, here we go. Okay, hi, Jeff. I think you mean Jet Boda Zephyr. Can you tell me more about your meditation retreat, please? Look, stop. Don't talk to Jet in the chat room. I will do an interview with Jet and we'll talk about his retreat, because it's actually really fascinating where he does go each time. This time I'm not exactly sure where he went to, but we had a really interesting chat with Jet last time he went to a meditation retreat. So when he's next in Bangkok, I promise we'll interview Jet and we'll find out more about the meditation retreat and what happened there. 456 people watching and only 56 likes. Oh, Mick, oh, shocking. Put Jet in timeout. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll ban Jet. How can I do that? Scott Shallcross, just cooking up some marathon dim sims for lunch. Marathon dim sims, are they a brand or something? I do like dim sims. Dim sims are a bit like sort of Japanese gyoza or Nepalese momos. Same sort of thing. There's like a pasta type outside with a mince inside. Very tasty, probably not very good for you. But yes, in Australian dim sims from South Melbourne Market. When did you last visit Patong? How are things there? From Reg Dunlop. Don't go to Patong very often. Probably live about 20-minute drive from Patong in Phuket, but certainly the last couple of months it's been a lot busier than it has been. Not back at 100% by any means, but maybe 40 or 50%. Certainly during Songkran it was really, really busy, but the bars are pretty much open, some of them past midnight. But generally Patong, certainly the coastal area, has sprung back and it's back in action. If you go there, you won't be disappointed. Not a place I particularly go as an expat living there, but for those people that like Patong, yes, it's back. It's, most of the places, 50-60% of the shops perhaps now open there. But the further you get back from the beach, the quieter it is in Patong at the moment. But you can still get a quite expensive experience or quite a cheap experience in Patong if you do your shopping and you look around for booking places. But yeah, the hotels are happy to have you back and the prices are quite low at the moment, remembering you don't have to book SHA Plus hotels anymore. Jet, what is the weather like in Bangkok? I don't think Jet's in Bangkok, Robert. In Bangkok, I can tell you, I can see some blue sky, I can see plenty of clouds, just a mild day with about a 50% cloud cover. That's probably the best way. It'll get up to 30, 32 degrees. It's about the best I can say. Maybe some rain later in the afternoon. Mark Solar, what did you do before your life in Australia? Aussie Broadcast News. I used to work as a newsreader with a company called Austereo, And part of what they did was I used to work at the news reading office at a place called Fox, which also had Triple M. In fact, the idea of the name of the Thaiger came from the radio station I used to work for there called the Fox. So I was looking for an animal that I could sort of build a radio station image or branding around, and that's all morphed into the Thaiger. We did Gold FM, Triple M and Fox News from the one newsroom. So I was a newsreader there for quite a long time. I was an event organiser, and so those two things, doing freelance news reading, general media and event organising, they were the sort of the general things I was doing. I was a media whore, basically. A standard sedan draws next flood. Yeah, some of these comments, I just read them randomly and they may be referring to earlier comments and they don't make sense. Why does that do that? Evan Music 2009, Patong Bangla Road is busy, but other parts of the second road quiet. Fourth road expat bars seem relatively busy. Junk Salon closed down, but due to reopen in Q4. That information from Evan Music 2009. Hey Tim, did you work for Larry King? Yes, well, I didn't work with Larry King, but I consulted with Larry King. Larry King, a great American broadcaster. He was doing a program called America Overnight. And in my broadcasting days, when I was working at another company in Australia called the Macquarie Network, I was working between 2GB and 3AW in Melbourne with a program called Australia Overnight. And we decided to start a program called Australia Overnight. He was doing America Overnight, so I did go over to the US and spent some time with Larry King. He wasn't quite as big as he was in his last 20 years. This would be in the mid-80s to early 90s. So yeah, I did get to spend a couple of weeks with him, just watching him doing his program, working with his production staff, and we came back to Australia and started the Australia Overnight program, which I was a producer of for about 2 years, working with Owen Delaney, and then I was, for a short time, hosting it myself when Owen became sick. So yeah, did get to work with Larry King. It was a great honour. I am going to name my next bar the Thai Girl Bar. Thanks, David. Good luck with that. Kenny G is in Thailand today. Well, now, Kenny G was part of a jazz festival in Hua Hin. I'm not sure if it was last weekend or this weekend. Somebody can do a Google quick check. Kenny G Jazz Festival, Hua Hin, and find out if that concert was last weekend or this weekend. That would be nice to see. Probably not going to be able to take advantage of that, which is a shame. So I'm going to do 3 more questions, and I'll do my best. When I say I'll do 3 more questions, it usually means 5. Question, Tim, if I drive to Phuket, do I need to show my vaccination status at the bridge? Asked Rob Roy. No, you just drive straight through the Tatachai checkpoint. There is no checking of things. Sometimes they may stop you to check your license, or if you're a foreigner, they may want to check your passport, but there's no checking of vaccination to get into Phuket or out of Phuket at the moment. Remembering that Phuket is joined to the mainland by a 300-metre long bridge called the Saracen Bridge, but no checks for vaccination, nor do they check anything when you arrive in Phuket by air. Travelling from Phuket to Bangkok, they don't check my vaccination certificate. This is by air. But going from Bangkok to Phuket, they seem to want to see my vaccination certificate. Not all the time, but sometimes. This is a check-in. But look, all I say, if you are travelling around Thailand, just keep your vaccination certificates with you, or something on your mobile phone. I thought you were British, Tim. I guess you're an Aussie, says Man. Yes, I am from Australia. I've only been to Britain twice, and I won't say what I said last time about my time in Britain, because it did upset a lot of British people, a lot of British friends, of course. A Gorilla Pancake. Hi, Tim. Are you currently in a rental condo? Yes, this is my rented condo, And as I told people, it's about 47 square metres, it's 1 bedroom, and it cost me 20,000 baht a month, which is sort of average for a condo of this size. You can get smaller condos, what I call the 30 square metre dog boxes, but you can get those for, say, 15,000 baht. But around this area of a sock in Sukhumvit, you'd be battling to get anything cheaper than, say, 15,000 baht in any sort of modern condition in a nice building in a good area. What's your favourite lodging in Phuket? Asks Mark Solar. Not quite sure what you mean by lodging. I mean, I have a house in Phuket. I don't stay in hotels. When it comes to, if I was going to go to Phuket and stay in a hotel, personally, and there's literally thousands of choices, there are some very nice hotels along the coast of Mai Khao Beach up in the north of Thailand. I won't name them, but there's 4 or 5 really nice hotels pretty much in a row, and they're premium. They're probably not the cheapest places to stay, but they're not the most expensive either. But if you do want to be in the hullabaloo of Patong or close to shopping centres and stuff, then you're sort of a bit away from everything up on that northwest coast. But they're really nice hotels if you do want to stay there, right on Mai Khao Beach. Other places to stay, you could go on for hours. Depends what you want to do. Patong is just 3% of the land mass of Phuket. There's so much more to Phuket than Patong. I know it's popular with a lot of people, but there's lots of other places. And I note too, over the past 2 years, that down south in Rawai, that area has somehow been able to kick on and grow and even thrive during the pandemic. So I'd be heading down to Rawai if you're going to go to Phuket. It's really kicked on over the past 2 years and sort of evolved and morphed and changed, and I think a lot of people will enjoy going down there for a meal. Some really cool little restaurants opening up. The Tavern is for sale now, says the Snives. I think there's 2 Tavern resorts. There's one in Karon and there's one in near Kamala. Are you talking about both of them? Okay, stayed at Mai Khao before, says PT Tan. He put in $5 sign, so expensive for him. Yeah, I mean, they're not the most, the cheapest locations, but if you do want to go for like a resort, seaside holiday, and you don't really want to go to markets or go to bars all the time, then those resorts along Mai Khao are quiet, you're away from the hullabaloo, and quite nice, but yeah, they're not necessarily cheap. There was that one hit Kenny G had, Songbird, and then nothing. Bit of a one-hit wonder, says Boda Zephyr. Actually, he was he was quite popular. Had a lot of albums, sort of doing that middle-of-the-road contemporary, not quite jazz, but sort of relaxation music almost. But yeah, he did have that big hit. But he banked on that one hit and had plenty of other smaller hits over the years and released many, many albums. I mean, if you just search him on Wikipedia, I think you might be surprised by his output over the years. I think he's in his late 60s now and he's still going around the world performing. And he was either in Thailand last week or this week in Hua Hin at the Jazz Festival. A lot of elevator music, says Lee Shepherd. I want Deep Purple back here for a concert. GRF Store. Deep Purple, are they still around? I learnt the riff. What's that? Da, 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 da. What was that riff on the guitar in my teens when I was at boarding school a long time ago? Smoke on the Water. But Deep Purple, they must be in their 70s or 80s. But if they're kicking, good luck to them. They're a great band. The Snives, Kamala is the one with a huge sail. Smoke on the Water. Thank you, AJF. Smoke in the Water. They're all telling me Smoke in the Water. Thank you very much to Metal Stamping, Spicy Roads. Chris Clough, thank you very much for reminding me. See, you shouldn't be asking me. I should be asking you questions because you're the ones with all the knowledge. Tim knows Roscoe's Bar Grill. Tim knows Roscoe's Bar Grill in Patong. I don't know. Best band I ever saw live, says Chris Clough. I've been very lucky in all my years to have been to a lot of concerts in different parts of the world. Like I've been really lucky. I can honestly, no, I'm not going to tell you which is my favourite because you will think lesser of me and it'll start an argument. But I've been very lucky to see a lot of live concerts. How many have I seen? It would be live concerts. It would be either up to or just over 100. I mean, I've been to a lot of concerts. I've been very, very, very lucky. I have seen ABBA live, but ABBA wasn't my favourite. In fact, live, I didn't think I think the problem with ABBA, well, whilst the music was fun and everything, is that it's the between the songs that sort of make a concert great. It's that repartee. Very few do it as well, for example, as the Australian John Farnham. Oh, I think he was born in England as well, but he became famous in Australia. His repartee with the audience was fantastic. And a lot of bands, that repartee with the audience between the songs, that sort of makes the concerts memorable. ABBA didn't have a lot of that, and because English wasn't their first language. But yeah, they were fun enough to see. Now I'm curious about your favourite concerts. We all have our own taste, of course, says Boda Zephyr. Tim, do a comeback, a tour when? Yes, Silver Milner. Jimmy Barnes. I have seen Jimmy Barnes live, but in a pub, not at a concert. John Farnham, a Geelong boy. I don't think he was, I think he came from England originally. He was born there, but he certainly became famous and remained so in Australia. His song, The Voice, was his sort of second coming, was the start of his second coming, and he became known as The Voice, and still, to my knowledge, one of the probably the greatest vocalists that Australia has seen. Never really took off overseas. I reckon Tim's favourite concert was Boney M. Haven't seen Boney M. Kylie and Jason returning to Neighbours. I think Neighbours, which is a long-running soapie in Australia, I think they stopped making it for Australian audiences, but they kept it going for the British audiences. But they're finishing it off, and Kylie and Jason, Scott and Charlene, there you go, are coming back for the final show. God, Kylie, I think they're both in their 50s now. Good luck to them. Jimmy Young, Spice Rose. Okay, so I think we'll leave it there. We've gone through some of the main news stories today. We've gone through a lot of different comments and questions, but I think we've sort of come to a natural conclusion for our Saturday morning program. I do thank you very much for joining me here in my apartment in Bangkok. If you do want to check that Lazada story that we were speaking of earlier, it's one of the top 2 or 3 stories at thetiger.com. And if you do want any information about what's happening here in Thailand, you can pretty well find most of it at thetiger.com. The Snive says the ABBA Avatar show is going on tour. I will get to that if I can go and see it, because I think from a technical point of view that will be very interesting. And also, yes, it's hard not to enjoy ABBA's great contribution to pop music over the years. Okay, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, Jordan D, so I'm allowed to go to bed. Good night. Thank you, Jorgen D, thank you very much for joining us. And Scott D, thank you very much as well. I'll put my computer down. It's been great spending the last hour with you. It's always a great joy, and it's appreciated the fact that you want to talk to me. I certainly enjoyed talking to you. I saw the Beatles, Hendrix, Stones and Zeppelin. Here we go. Oh no, I won't even get into that. We'll be here for hours talking about concerts. But it has been great being here for the last hour, and Jay will be online tomorrow for the Thaiger Weekend update. So give Jay some love and spend some time with him tomorrow morning. Jay and I will be in Phuket next week at the Trichada Villas, Trichada, Trichada. Beautiful luxury villas being built down there in Chiang in Phuket. And we thank the gentleman who owns it, whose name eludes me at the moment, but we thank him for it. Doug. Thank you, Doug, for inviting us down next week, and I'm sure he'll look after us. Make sure you've got some good coffee. But from all of us here at the Thaiger, thank you for joining us, and I say goodbye, farewell, adieu, adios, and we'll see you next time.